Welcome to The Ghoul's Guide to Santa Barbara. All right, I know what you're thinking. You give up your soul, you turn into a demon, you look like shit. Where's the payoff, right?
I have no idea what that's from.
No idea?
Is it from Beetlejuice?
No, you guys will never get it.
Oh, then you picked a great one, Liz. Thanks.
I picked it because I want to tell you how much I love this movie, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Night.
Oh my
shut
God.
up.
Tales from the Crypt is amazing. I can't tell you that I watched the movies.
So this is one of the movies, and it's Demon Night with a K, like night, and it stars Billy Zane, one of my
trying to
faves.
figure out how you could spell demon with a K.
It has Billy Zane, who I love, and he is he's the demon in question. Well, there's lots of demons, but he's kind of the leader of the demons, I guess.
He's the demon on the Titanic, too.
Yeah, that's true.
But
So-
the hero in Twin Peaks.
Is he?
Or a hero.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of missed Twin Peaks.
Because you are youthful.
Yeah, and Jada Pinkett Smith is in
It's
it.
funny because I'm older than both of you and I didn't watch Twin Peaks.
Oh.
It was definitely, I was aware of it, but I just never really tuned. Maybe that was the years we lived out in the boonies and we didn't have cable. I don't know.
It's real good.
Cool. Anyway, you should watch Demon Night.
So what made you choose Demon Night besides just you like it? But
I like it. It's like just a campy, scary, like
not
enjoyable
unlike The Frighteners.
different. You know, the Tales from the Crypt vibe.
Yeah.
Is, if you were ever watching the program, which it sounds like you did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the movies is just that, like, extended by an hour and and a half or whatever.
I used to want to watch the show. So I have watched the show and I did watch the show. But it was hard for me because like I felt like the actual shows were not always as scary as just the host. And so like I
the
had
Crypt
to like
Keeper?
I had to like build myself up. Like you can make it. You can make it. You can do it. Because there was no like, oh, just skip it. Just fast forward. Yeah.
Oh, right. Very true.
I would like to point out for our listeners that we're recording today after a full day of work. So I don't know.
The delirium is real.
And my sparkling wit isn't going to... Don't laugh at that. It's not going to show up so much today.
Set the bar low, listeners.
That's okay.
Lower your
Set the bar low
standards.
for Tales from the Crypt Demon Night.
As well.
But you know that I am a lover of bad movies, and it's a good bad movie.
I love it.
Yeah.
Liz has a top 100 movies list.
That's on the list.
The list should be on the website.
Okay.
I think you can say the list should be on the list. So speaking of low expectations, this is the Ghoul's Guide to Santa Barbara. And
And it's my episode.
I didn't mean it that way.
You did.
On today's episode, Summers is going to tell us about the white ladies of Santa Barbara County. Not those ones.
Hello, faithful listeners.
Hello.
I want to tell you a story today about white ladies. And no, not those white ladies. I'm going to tell you about the particular category of hauntings known as ladies in white. So, context. If you're a fan of the show Supernatural, and why would you not be? Think back to the very first episode, the pilot, which has a subcategory of a lady in white, La Llorona. Ladies in white are ghosts of women who appear wearing white dresses, and they are preoccupied with what?
Ghosts.
Yeah.
Is it protecting their children?
Yes.
Well, I knew that about La Llorona.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they're
But
children.
I didn't know that, like, just ladies in white in general.
Yeah, normally.
Okay.
I mean, if it's not children, it's like a dude. So,
Ugh.
yeah. So this made me wonder when
Ain't that the truth?
when I was looking these up, is there a male variant of this type of ghost,
Oh.
like a sad, responsible dad specter? And no, there is not that I was able to find. But listeners, if you know of that, let us know.
La Llorona is associated with drowning
Yes.
of children.
Yes. So anyway, the reason there is not the man kind of this ghost.
Because men don't get tormented by stuff like that.
And as women, even in death, our tormented spirits have to take on the eternal emotional labor of childcare. So that boils my blood a little bit.
Not a great movie, La Llorona. That recent one from a few years ago.
Oh yeah,
that's not on my list.
That's the kind of movie that's like just too horrifying to me to even try. Like I'll read the Wikipedia description and then get scared and not read it.
I couldn't even watch the Paranormal Activity that included the baby monitor.
I haven't watched that.
Oh yeah, no.
And I also didn't buy a video monitor because of commercials for that movie.
Yeah.
Oh geez, right.
I have enough parenting related anxiety. I don't need fictional.
Right.
Sorry, continue.
No, it's okay. So I don't have kids, so if I'm a ghost at any point, and I hope to be, I probably won't have to deal with the endless motherhood thing, but it still gives me like flames on the sides of my face on behalf of the sisterhood that this is a thing. So ladies in white think a bunch of like sort of younger, less hilarious Miss Havishams floating around, forever looking for their lost children and feeling really guilty or mad about it, whether or not they killed them themselves. Not all ladies in white are kid-centric apparitions, but it's pretty much the common theme, along with yelling.
Yeah.
So most of our ladies in white, definitely the ones in today's episode, are criers, and they want us to know that some fucked up shit has happened to them.
Creepy.
And maybe that some fucked up shit is about to happen to you.
Yikes.
If they have any say in it, which it would seem that sometimes they do.
Can I side note real quick? My children are of the belief that whatever you are buried in is what your ghost will wear.
Not what you died in?
Oh.
Yeah. Huh. So Diego has a plan that he's going to make sure I'm buried in like a really cool, spooky looking like wedding dress or white gown.
So you'll
like
be
he's setting me up for this. He wants me to be in this category.
So the next generation of Ghoul's Guiders will
I'll be talking
you
about
in the follow-up episode.
That keeps coming in and like rearranging our shelves to make more sense.
Oh. Okay, so La Llorona, as Jen said, is a subvariant of this type of haunting that has to do with water, and that one's worse. And definitely made up by crap dudes to keep us down. Ugh. You have a woman who discovers her husband was cheating on her with another woman. So in revenge or despair, she murders her children by drowning, I guess.
I think in the movie, the variant is like he doesn't want kids. And like they're not his kids.
Oh.
They're her kids. And he doesn't want them or something. And so that's why she kills them.
Huh. Yeah, I think it's...
I'm sure there are lots of variations.
I've heard it in the context of my family, the side of my family by marriage, who is from Mexico, and I've heard it where she's not the antagonist.
Oh yeah,
as well. So
nice.
She didn't necessarily drown the children, but her children have been. She's lost her children. Her children have drowned.
Okay, I like that better.
And so she's like trying to find them.
Right, that's like the general lady in white situation. Mm-hmm. I like that a lot better because I was going to go off. I have some paragraphs written about, like, I just don't think that murdering your kids is the thing you would do as a betrayed wife. It's not like the next thought that you would have when you find out your husband is cheating is like, right. Oh, I'll murder my babies. That doesn't make any sense to me. But, yeah, like, oh, I'll murder my babies because that'll show him and, like,
yeah.
Also free him up to have a brand new household with his mistress. Like, I honestly think there's like a ulterior motive in this story. Like, yeah, that's what happens. And I don't know. Anyway, I'm not a paranormal researcher, unfortunately, or an expert on the purpose of folklore, but Ladies in White and La Llorona seem to have a few angles going on that benefit men, and those off the top of my head. And I have a list. Yes. 1, discouraging or demonizing women who dare to speak up when their husbands step out on their marriage. 2, frightening children who find out their dads are having affairs. And Angela Chase's father from My So-Called Life, I am speaking to you. By making them think they'd better keep the secret so their moms don't murder them.
Whoa.
Although Patty Chase would never. 3, pathologizing women who have negative emotional reactions to anything ever or think they deserve any sort of respect or consideration ever. And please remind me someday to tell you about the corollary to this item that covers why Debbie Downer and Negative Nancy are shit things to say because they are meant to keep us sweet forever and ever. We can never be negative. And then 4 is kind of a loose one, maybe also something to do with postpartum psychosis, but that is whatever, and I don't want to get into that.
Jen and I are nodding at each other.
Yeah. I'm going to rein myself back in a little bit, but ladies or women in white are, to review, ghosts of women wearing long white dresses who are usually looking for something, often their children, and they are particularly scary to me because I drive by myself a lot for at night for like stress relief, which is not the best habit to have, but I do it. And these floaty gals are commonly seen along a road or a highway, and that terrifies me.
Yep, a lonely road.
Yeah. And some women in white even interact with motorists in their stories, like flagging them down. That's what happens in Supernatural.
I do not like that.
Nope, me either. And jumping in front of cars, don't like that either.
Nope.
Is that like that urban legend about like the guy who stops to help the woman and like drops her off at home and then goes back the next day to check on her?
She's been dead for
She's
50
been dead.
That's usually a daughter, though, isn't it? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, just any of the
Mixing
stuff.
urban legends.
Yeah.
Any of that stuff that has to do with driving at night, like, would just end me from fear if any of that happened, and I just don't even like to think about it.
It gives me the chills just talking about it.
Yeah, and then back to the review, sometimes there's an adulterous husband involved or other betrayal by a crap dude, and sometimes they get super mad at a living dude and try to kill them, but I have my doubts about that. Because, okay, we should talk about this in another episode, but I think that there's only one ghost that's killed a human, and it's not in our county.
Okay.
I'll look it up for next time.
Wait. This is just like a
questions.
fact. This is factual.
I want to say, okay, I'm not going to remember it off the top of my head, but someone who's from the state where the ghost story is told me about it, and she went, and it's the only ghost that's ever actually killed a man or whatever.
I need to know more.
Okay.
Yes, I have
Okay.
lots of questions.
Okay,
my
remind
gosh.
me to look that up, and
Okay.
maybe we could do it as like an away game or something. I don't want to talk about her either, that ghost, because like I have this thing. I don't believe in ghosts, and
But you
yet
don't
I don't
wanna
want to
invite
talk about them, and I don't want the book about them to be open on the floor, that kind of thing. Okay, so now that we know about
Somewhere that ghost is like, wait, I kind of hear like someone's talking about me. I should go investigate.
Is that Summers? Oh, man. Okay. I also have this thing where I think it would be hilarious to like be haunted by a really famous ghost or something, like the one I talked about and the ghost that haunted itself, or the ghost that killed this man in like, I don't know, Arkansas or wherever it was, Tennessee, I think. And then just like see the ghost, and then the ghost is like busy and doesn't want to like deal with you. Okay. Anyway, it's not a well-developed joke, but so now that we know about them in general, let's go on a little trip around Santa Barbara County and get to know our own ghouly gals.
Yes.
So I'm casting a wider net today, geographically speaking, because when the three of us started this podcast, we set out to cover all of Santa Barbara County. Mm-hmm. And it's important to acknowledge that Santa Barbara County is not just the cities of Santa Barbara and Goleta down here in the south where we are. We also have our friends to the north. Mm-hmm. And when I was prepping for today's recording, so I wrote a solid page of like sick burns on our northern buddies because I have a lot of opinions about the north-south rivalry we've got going on in these here hills. But I came back to it after a couple of hours.
Is it a real rivalry or is it like...
I'm going to get that. Yeah, it totally... I mean, okay.
I was born and raised here. I've never really held much ill will towards the northern
thing.
folks.
Right, because it's not a rivalry that we have
Is this
down
a
here.
miniseries?
Oh.
They think that there's a rivalry.
Is this what North and South was about?
No, that was about like, wasn't that like the cotton trade in England in the 1800s? No. But yeah, it should be about that. It's an epic tale of generational grudges. I wrote this whole page of stuff and of sass, and then I just kept picturing Liz's beautiful angelic face looking at me with like gentle, loving tolerance for how angry I am at the world, and maybe like for how little I do about it. And so I decided not to put her through that. and decided to tone down my take a little.
Is Liz our moral compass?
Yeah. And I think, Jen, you would have encouraged me, though, which I really appreciate in my soul.
I would just like to point out that last year for Halloween, Liz and I dressed as Aziraphale and Crowley, and it seems really fitting right now. We also determined, well, never mind, I'm not going to go there. It's a spoiler for the current season, but everybody watched Good Omens.
I'm going to circle back around to that unintentionally because I have a reference later.
Because we heart Neil Gaiman.
Yes. And Terry Pratchett and John Finnemore. Okay, so I'm going to rephrase my original rant and say that Santa Barbara County definitely does have a north-south rivalry, and it's one that I kind of love and think is hilarious because only the people in the northern part of the county are aware of it.
That is hilarious.
Unless you work for like a countywide agency, which I have done 2 times in my life. And it's got to be infuriating for them in the north because there's nothing worse than spending a good portion of your energy like mad at someone who has no idea you even exist.
Oh my gosh. The only thing worse than unrequited love is unrequited hate.
Absolutely. So we've got Santa Barbara down here in the south, which is the county seat, and then Santa Maria up in the north. And like, I didn't even know in my first countywide agency job, I didn't even know Santa Maria was like in our county.
Oh my gosh, really?
And my boss was so disappointed in me because she's from up there. So like, again, because I'm your girl for unwanted and overly thorough context, I'm going to paint you a picture of Santa Barbara County real quick for those of you who aren't from here or weren't aware because you're from the south. So if you envision like this sort of like marshmallow squished down to landscape orientation, and then the part that's on the ocean has like a witch's face with no hat. What? And I know
This is the best description. I have no idea where you're going with this.
Can I redo that? Because I totally fucked it
Sorry,
up.
yes.
Okay. Beep, 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 beep. Here we go. Okay. So if you think of the shape of California, which I was saying is like a thick, bent up left parenthesis, but then Jen gave me the better idea that it's kind of like a stocking hanging so the toe points to the right.
I said it was a
Christmas
saxophone.
stocking.
I missed that, but it's excellent and totally not at all true.
A side sex.
So there's a pointy bit, like kind of the heel of the stocking, and that's like right where we are. And then that's where our county shape is kind of just like this, like rectangle that's like a, like smushed marshmallow kind of. And then look, and then Liz pulled up a map so we could look at it. And then like facing down into the sea, there's a witch's face, but no hat. You see? It makes sense if you look.
You're okay.
Why don't they use this for tourism?
You're gonna have to
visit
map
Santa Barbara
County.
County. The witch's face of the marshmallow of the heel of California.
Why not?
with no hat.
Why not?
No witch's hat.
So if you don't count the areas of ocean water or uninhabitable islands as assigned to our county, we cover 2,300 square miles of usable land, which is equivalent to the land area of the entire state of Delaware, plus the city of Indianapolis, plus 6 standard-sized Walmart stores. I did some math.
Okay.
And we have...
And a standard Amazon box.
Yeah, probably. I did come in a little under. Didn't want to get more specific than Walmart stores.
It's bigger than a bread box.
Right. So population-wise, we have like 442,000 people living in our county, which is equivalent to the population of Miami, Florida. And then my last big fact is that our county has 8 cities. And I'm going to tell you about ghosts in 3 of them today: Lompoc, Santa Maria, and I am actually including Santa Barbara too, because I sort of have to for this topic. But I'll do that one minimally. So it's mostly North County.
I've heard of one quote unquote white lady ghost in Santa Barbara.
Awesome.
Which is probably one of the ones you're going to talk about.
But if it's not, you should say it at the end so we can.
I'll just yell it out.
So if you enjoyed,
surprise, it's me.
it will.
I've been a ghost this whole time.
You're just kidding. Oh no, bent neck lady.
Oh no.
Oh, okay. Anyway, if you enjoyed today's Unwanted Context by Summers, please visit our Instagram at Ghoul's Guide to SB, where you'll see I hope, a map that I will have made, especially for you.
Thank
And
you.
a few photos
In
I took
advance.
from inside my car because no way am I getting out and letting any ghosts in. I just drove by and pulled over.
Good call.
So onward to the White Ladies. We're going to start in Santa Maria with the Foster/Blosser White Witch.
The Foster Blosser White Witch.
Yes.
Tell us what that means.
So we're going to start at the very northern border of Santa Barbara County and Santa Maria, which I mentioned before. And so they're right on the edge of San Luis Obispo County in the north. And so because of that, Santa Maria and San Luis Obispo have kind of a stronger relationship than Santa Maria and Santa Barbara. They're less mad at San Luis Obispo.
There's no like county beef.
I mean, not
two.
that I know of. Santa Maria is our county's largest city, but not by much. It's got 110,000 people,
okay.
22 square mile area, and yeah, they're pretty mad about not getting any respect from the South. It's a really different geography. It's like hilly and inland, and there's more agriculture happening. A whole lot of cows and some oil. And overall, like, the feel is more politically conservative.
Sure.
There's like, it's not as expensive to live up there by 56%.
Holy moly,
Yeah.
really?
Right?
Wow.
It's still more expensive than I could afford, but like, you know, and Santa Maria is kind of like the headquarters of this movement that keeps trying to secede from the rest of the county. They've done it 25 times in the last like 150 years.
Do they want to
my
like be their
gosh.
own county or be part of San Luis? Or
Yeah.
oh, okay.
They want to be their own county. They keep trying to secede, and the last time they tried was in 2006.
Wow.
Like, real
Wow.
recent. They wanted to be called Mission County.
Huh.
And the time before that was 1978, and they wanted to be called Los Padres County. So, according to Weird California, the website, our Foster and Blosser White Lady, who I have decided to call the Foster Blosser White Witch, because she didn't really have a name. She's just like the ghost at the intersection of Foster and Blosser.
Oh, okay. Those are streets. That's what I was waiting
Yeah.
for. Okay.
Can we
So,
call her the Fabloster?
no, they just, honestly, she has no real name. So there's a park on that intersection, Pioneer Park, which was built like almost 100 years ago. And she, I guess, was like, saw the park and was like, I'm going to go in there too. And so she's in there as well, I guess.
Okay.
And there are all these different stories about how she died, and none of them really added up or were specific enough to follow up on. But there's a company called Central Coast Paranormal Investigators.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And proprietor Mitch Flores was quoted as saying our girl is, quote, believed to have been murdered, and her body is believed to be buried out there, so she haunts the corner of Foster and Blosser roads because her body has yet to be found.
So
it
was
like-
she buried out there before the park was
Yeah.
created?
I mean, does she
Presumably.
exist at all? Who knows? Like,
Is it like rural? Is it residential? Like what?
I took a photo,
Oh.
and it will put it on our Instagram. It is rural.
Okay.
It's like,
Oh, was that the one you sent us?
yeah, it's just like a field. It looks
Oh,
like
okay.
even the park part. And when I went out there the other day after work, I like pulled over and parked, and I did get out because I wanted a picture of the street sign because I'm arty that way. And like a man in an enormous pickup truck was like, "Are you okay?" So I guess maybe you don't want to be out there like on your own or something. And it was also, there was a lot of eucalyptus trees along the road, so it was spooky. And it's always windy up there compared to
That's
here.
why the eucalyptus are there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because they're fast growing and they plant them to block the wind.
All right. So the stories don't really line up with the usual Lady in White checklist, especially about the kids and the crap dude. But neither does another story that our witch died in a drag racing accident. So,
Okay.
100 years ago.
I know. So the area she haunts centrally has a no trespassing sign, and there's,
Is she wearing a white leather jacket?
I hope so. That's probably a reference that I don't get. Is it from
I mean, just
Drag racing.
drag racing.
a white leather jacket?
No. No, like leather jackets.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We know she's in white. I'm just picturing her
I
as
get it.
like someone from Greece.
My mind is decimated by my workday.
It wasn't a great joke.
No, it's totally my brain. It made all kinds of sense, and it had layers. I liked it. So there's a really dramatically written little blurb about our gal in the Santa Maria Sun, which I was really into and starting to believe until we found out that our friend wrote it. So like Shelley Cohn, shout out to Shelley. And I think she was writing it like to paint a picture and be evocative and everything. And it was very well written, but
it
looked like
to reading it.
Well researched. But I don't really see Shelley as like a big believer in the paranormal.
Well, maybe it was like was it a Halloween?
Yeah, I think so.
Story.
So I'm gonna set aside the description, although I loved it, of Foster Blosser White Witches laughing the hysterical laugh of the dead, and move on to our next lady in white.
Okay.
So we're gonna move down to sort of mid county to another city, Lompoc.
Pull up my map again.
Lompoc Agnes.
Lompoc Agnes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
So Lompoc is kind of my pet favorite city in Santa Barbara County besides Santa Barbara because it has like this really cute old-timey sign that says, "Hi, let's eat." That's like no longer attached to any particular restaurant, but they left the sign there because it's super cute. And Lompoc also just gets zero love from North or South County people, I feel like.
It's sort of the elbow.
Is it? Oh, yeah. It super is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I always think of it as like in the middle because when you drive on the US 101, you know, you don't really know exactly where you are.
Yeah. And it's a ways off the freeway. Like,
yeah, you got to connect to another freeway. So it's the cutest little like non-Santa Barbara city in the county, in my opinion. But here we have
It's a very, I go up there quite a bit because we have family that live up there, but I love the little like old downtown area. Still has a lot of the old architecture.
It does.
And murals, and it's very charming.
And I think it's like little nickname is City of Flowers.
that's what I was going to say, isn't it? That's like famous for flowers, right?
Yep.
I've never been there to see the flowers.
I mean, I haven't really noticed flowers, but I think maybe it's like ag or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of ag land out there between that and Vandenberg because it's near
Oh, I'll get to
Force
that. Yes.
the Air Force
the Space
Base.
Force Base,
Air
excuse me.
Force Base.
Stepping on my joke
Sorry.
for later.
No.
Okay, no, it's okay.
Delete that.
No, it's fine.
Beep, beep, beep.
Okay, so here we have a ghost who actually has a name, and her name is Agnes of Harris Grade. And Harris Grade is one of those like mountainous connecting roads that are dangerous and like windy, and they have a lot of bad accidents that have given it kind of a dark reputation. There's another one further north, closer to Santa Cruz, State Route 156, that I would absolutely believe traces a sigil of the devil, like the M25 ring road around London in Good Omens. That one's known as Pacheco Pass, and I used to have to drive it a lot to go to college in Santa Cruz, and it was just like white knuckle driving.
Yeah.
And so, and they're similar because Pacheco Pass and Harris Grade were both stagecoach passes.
Oh,
so maybe not so suited to cars. And I found this amazing, like sort of Dracula-esque description of a coach journey to Lompoc in a blog at Cartas, CARTAS .typepad.com. We climb into the stage for a ride of 12 miles to Lompoc. It takes 6 horses to pull the vehicle up through the sandhills and up the grade to the mesa. We go at a walk for several miles. The darkness descends. The fog blots out the stars. Congenial spirits begin to exchange stories, wild and weird. After a while, the driver lights the side lamps. The road, long winding around the desolate Chaparral Heath, begins to swing down the gulches towards the Lompoc River. Its lights gleam fitfully on the horses, changing them to ghostly black and white monsters. It flashes into the pale treetops. It reveals unimaginable deeps. I cannot read at all. Beyond the crumbling verge. And that's from the San Francisco Call, which I don't know what that is, from May 24th, 1896. Ooh. So the story is that Agnes died on the road in the very early 20th century, like the 1910s-ish. And although there's no mention of her last name or her personal history, because apparently these women are not important, except that they are floating around and have something to do with kids. And then there's also the idea that she's a witch and that she hexed Harris Grade, and the hex is the cause of all the accidents, but it really is just like a bad road.
A dangerous road.
Yeah. And like,
I'm going to believe in the witch.
Yeah.
But I'm also
right?
going to think about her every time we drive back that way at night. now. So thanks for that.
So, side note, that same blog, cartas.typepad.com, didn't seem to have a title, but it had comments open on the post that I got that quote from. And I would like to thank John Doe for his comment because it has entertained me all freaking week. And the comment reads, "Bullshit. I drove on that road every night when I worked in Santa Maria. At midnight, it would only take me 5 minutes to get across the grade. I never saw no ghost bitch." Oh, gosh. And I just I'm so appreciative of that because people just put themselves out there and leave a mark on the world sometimes. And it's such a little thing. And he probably doesn't even remember that he left that comment, but it made my life better this week. So funny. So 0 real information on Agnes, but supposedly she had a kid with her own kid, her son. And she's looking for him.
Oh,
maybe he died too or was separated from her when she died. And a local Santa Maria man who's a former teacher, his name is Roderick Schmidt, wrote a book similar in concept to that Ribbon Rock book that Liz mentioned by T.C. Boyle in a past episode. It's a historical novel filling in the life story. And I kind of vaguely tried to get a copy, but it's out of print. And I kind of thought about contacting Mr. Schmidt, but listeners... I am recovering from some pretty intense burnout, and I am just not going to do extra credit, at least not now. So I didn't do that.
Maybe one day we'll track it down.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll reach out to us after listening.
Yeah, right. So we'll just send us a crate of those books.
Yes.
Oh, you know what? I told you that we have 3, but we have 4.
Ooh.
Because as I was researching Agnes of Harris Grade, there's one nearby on Highway 246. Which is so you drive up from Santa Barbara to Buellton, and if you kind of go left, you go to Lompoc, and if you go right, you go to Solvang. And it's the area that I think is called the Santa Ynez Valley, but I like to call it the Shire. And it's this one I think is related to some sort of morality tale because there is a casino roughly on that road, I think, the Chumash Casino.
Yep.
And the idea is that this woman... died with her son, whose name was Cameron, but yet they don't have any records that she actually existed or died. Who was, I guess, drinking at the Chumash Casino and drove home or something, and it's probably just a morality tale.
Her
people
son
being
was at the casino, or she was.
She was, but he was with her. And so, there's this stuff about, don't take your kids with you to stuff. And, I don't know.
Moral of the story is don't take your children to places that you can't legally bring children to.
Exactly, right? So, I have no idea. I just think it's probably, some dumb rumor to make people, mad about the reservation having a casino.
Probably. That's kind of a fairly recent one, though, because how long has the casino been there?
I mean, not that long, but... So you'd think
20 plus years, but...
If you have that information and Cameron...
Right.
It's not you think you'd be able to find out who it was.
Find this lady.
But I don't even really have any sources on that one.
She doesn't have a name, but he does?
Yeah.
That's
so
weird.
Funny.
It seems vague and also specific enough to be probably just made up.
Right?
Right.
I mean...
So she's spotted out on the 246
Yeah.
then? Okay.
So we're going to move back down to our hometown of Santa Barbara and the City College Sea Ghost.
That's the one I was
I thought it was probably the one that you'd heard of. So... Last but not least, we have the Santa Barbara City College Cliff Spectre, a white lady who has no discernible backstory that I could find, but you have a book, Jen, so maybe it's in the book?
I
don't
think
know.
they do mention it, but...
Okay, maybe we could do a follow-up.
Yeah, I was considering maybe doing an episode on her, but I couldn't find enough information to... I didn't realize there was all these other ones, so...
Yeah.
Better you than me.
When I was looking at the Summerlin one, there was mention of... Oh, yeah. A white lady out on the bluffs there as well.
Yeah, I've always heard that one. So... I no backstory that I could find, but she just looks out across the ocean. I like to think she found out her husband cheated with a mermaid, and she's waiting for him to come home from a spell at sea, so she can throw their kids off the cliff as he sails into the harbor. It's as good a story as any. I don't know, couldn't find it, but anyway, that's it. 4 women, 4 vague stories of rough lives. I have
heard, and maybe it was in that book that I'm sorry, it's sitting next to my bed right now, so I can't give a good reference to it, but I'm sure it'll come up in other episodes and I would credit the author, but
awesome.
That it mentions that she is sometimes seen diving off the cliff.
Oh, really?
And so
no way.
There's also a story, there's story that it's somebody who threw themselves from
or maybe
the cliff.
she's a mermaid and like we know from the documentary Splash, She just wants to get back to the sea and have
Could
her
be.
tail again.
Could be.
So
Well, that would be a really long jump. So the City College
maybe
bluff
she takes a run.
overlook a parking lot
She
and then
takes
a
a run at
street
it.
and then another parking lot.
That's right.
And then the beach.
It's totally not.
The water's
Yeah.
not below
You
it.
can't dive in. You can't dive into the ocean from City College.
Dang it.
I know, right? Okay, so 4 women, 4 vague stories of rough lives, and they probably just want to talk about them. Like, my personal theory on White Lady Ghosts is that all the yelling and shrieking is just to get our attention, and they're just hanging out by roads because they are efficient women, and that's where you get the best odds of running into, like, any volume of the living. And you just know that, like, if you ran into one, which I don't want to do, ghosts, if you're listening, do not appear to me. Like,
There's a really good joke in there about they probably just want you to join their MLM.
oh, that's mean. I don't like that one. But like every community has like endless numbers of these women in white ghosts. Like there are just so many, and even in like England and stuff, like they're a thing.
Yeah.
So like I feel like if you met one, they'd just be like, "Can I tell you about the day I had?"
Right.
And, like nobody will listen.
They
And-
just want to vent like all of us.
right. And you just say yes, and you know, you tell her about the time you got cheated on or lost your 3-year-old at the supermarket, and like she'd just smile and nod, and then she'd walk into the light.
It's like that thing when you're trying to get your kids to do something and you like say it over and over and over, and then like you get to that point where you're like, just like that, you just like get to
They're just mad at
you
their kids.
escalate, and they're
The
like
37th
"Why are
time.
you yelling
Yeah,
at
you
me?"
get mad. Why are you always yelling at me?
I've been trying to get your attention for how long?
Totally. So I'll close with saying I found this awesome quote about ladies in white, which calls them, quote, beautiful, eerie creatures draped in moonlight, trailing clouds of grief and longing for those faraway ages when they still had the power to bless and to curse. And that was written by Catherine Langrish at steelthistles.blogspot.com,
I love that.
which looked like a way better researched blog that had like more thorough citation of sources than you will ever get from me. But if anyone has like a little more information on the City College ghost, I'd love to hear that. Maybe if that's from Jen like in the future, because I've heard just really vague mentions of that since high school.
Or
Yeah, I grew up on the Mesa. I went to City College, and I never saw
You didn't see her.
her.
if anybody's seen a ghostly apparition,
And if you see her, just like listen to her about her day.
Maybe she just needs a hug.
I know. And I thought it would also be fun to like put a costume together and just go stand on the cliffs, like look at the sea. Be like, I'm busy. So we should do that. So my sources today were numerous, and I'm not going to list them. So they'll be
Put 'em
on the website.
Yeah.
and we'll link to that on our social media.
And that was my story.
I love it.
Thank you, Summer.
Yeah.
Do we have a question for the Magic 8 Ball?
Um,
Let's see.
Are eucalyptus trees the worst? Yes.
Yeah.
I read something once about how like the Australians sent us eucalyptus trees because every so often they just explode in the heat, and they thought it would be funny. That's why we have wildfires.
I love that. You know which eucalyptus make me the maddest?
No.
The ones on the Channel Islands.
Oh.
Oh,
They took them out there for ag purposes to block the wind. They're used really commonly in agriculture to block the wind
Yeah.
because they're fast growing. And there's all these amazing endemic species out there. And then eucalyptus.
Yeah. They're all commonly along all the strawberry fields too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Strawberries, the #1 crop in Santa Barbara County.
You heard it here.
But I just saw an article like this week. Cauliflower.
Cauliflower's on the
Yeah.
rise, guys.
It's on the rise.
#2 is cauliflower because of the popularity of cauliflower rice.
All the cauliflower replacements.
Yeah. Usually #2 is wine grapes. And so
Oh.
it pleased me a lot that
Oh,
wine
that's
grapes
fun.
got
that
knocked
makes-
out
that
of the
makes a lot
#2
of
spot.
sense.
Yep.
So are we going to ask the Magic 8 Ball if cauliflower is going to beat out
Is it going
strawberries?
to overtake strawberries?
Oh.
Is our #1 crop?
I mean, that's okay.
Seems like a perfect use of a Magic 8 Ball.
A factual
Should
question.
we
that
invest
can
in
be-
cauliflower now? What's it say, Liz?
It is decidedly so.
Oh, excellent.
There
All
you go.
right. You heard it here first.
Yep.
Buy cauliflower.
You buy
Nice.
some cauliflower.
That's what I meant. But
Or
you
my
could just
futures, I
buy
think.
cauliflower.
Futures, is that what you buy for
I think.
plants?
Yeah. can buy them in pork bellies. I assume you can do it in cauliflower rice.
I don't know.
All right, I think that's
Oh,
it.
man. All right.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, see you next time.
Hi, Mom.
Beep, beep, beep.
Thanks for listening to The Ghoul's Guide to Santa Barbara. Like and subscribe on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Ghoul's Guide to SB.
Our website is ghoulsguidetosb.com. Got a spooky story or know of a haunted or paranormal location in Santa Barbara? Send it to us at ghoulsguidetosb@gmail.com.